cucumbers and lettuce.
A very good technical.
Successful implementation of protected systems requires that farmers become more attuned to the conditions under which the crop is being produced. Training opportunities and technical support systems must be made available to provide the relevant information to industry stakeholders. The various ministries of agriculture have implemented programs to support this.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries and the Rural Agricultural Development Authority sees greenhouse technology as one strategy to improve production and productivity in vegetable growing. So far, we've had significant successes. We've also seen significant reduction in imports of tomatoes, colored bell pepper, and lettuce. A critical success factor for greenhouse technology is access to reliable and current information. The greenhouse unit in RADA provides farmers with this information.
CARDI has sought to address some of the emerging constraints by generating appropriate production and marketing technologies for protected agriculture.
There is not enough scientific information documented on protected agriculture systems. What we are attempting to do here at the CARDI field station is to make comparisons between the two systems, the protected agriculture system and the open field system. We have conducted research with two crops, sweet peppers and cucumber, under both systems. And the results have shown that the protected agricultural system has out-yielded the open field system by as much as twofold, particularly for the cucumbers and threefold for the peppers. Research needs also to be done as far as the availability of fertility. Research needs to be done in the areas of pest and disease control. There is also need for research in varieties, the different varieties that is grown under the protective system, because some of them are not really suited and adaptable to the high temperature conditions under the protective system.
Heat buildup in greenhouses under our tropical conditions can be lethal to plants. This is particularly so at elevations below 1200 feet. Growers at low elevation sites have sought to address this problem by replacing insect-proof netting with netting of wider gauge in an effort to increase ventilation. This practice compromises the pest management benefits of protected agriculture. CARDI, with funding from IICA and FAO, is implementing a project to evaluate two modified greenhouse designs to determine suitable ventilation systems that will optimize ventilation while also managing pest populations by exclusion. One way of achieving pest management is by constructing mesh cages or tunnels around the plants to prevent pest access. CARDI, through collaborative projects with USAID and the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Jamaica, evaluated this method for use in callaloo or amaranthus production. Studies showed that the exclusion cage could reduce pest crop damage and drastically reduce or even eliminate the need for pesticides. Growth media and water recycling are other areas being researched.
Well, one of the things that we are now trying to do, we recognize that there are problems in greenhouses. There are whiteflies, there are mites, there are mildew problems. Part of the problem is once the soil gets wet, it keeps that moisture and it's easier for the fungal spores to develop. So we are now trying to create what we call a Dutch bucket system using used car tires. And what we do is put two elbows in and there's a pipe underground that takes all the extra moisture outside of the house. So we think that's going to make a big difference. We're also looking at local substrates to include plastic to see if we could find a new medium in which to grow our plants. And so far it has been very, very encouraging.
All these initiatives require coordination of information and support to the greenhouse farmers.
Through the Jamaica Greenhouse Growers Association, we have done several things already. We have been able to lobby with government. We have been able to have dialogue with several NGOs. We have been able to transfer the technology to people who did not know about it. We have been able to organize marketing. We have been able to calendarize our production to some extent. So in general, we see ourselves as being a critical element within the agricultural sector, and we have been impacting quite positively on the overall agricultural production. So to some extent, we are pretty vibrant up and helping the sector in general.
All this being said, protected agriculture must be seen as just one avenue in which food security can be achieved. It must work alongside traditional open field agricultural systems. Open field agriculture requires less capital investment and for some crops is more viable alternative to protected systems. Both systems provide a synergism that works towards a sustainable food supply. A case supporting this argument could be demonstrated by farmers cultivating crops in dried out marsh areas in the dry season.
Farming in the dry season in marsh areas have greater advantages over farming in other areas. Basically, farmers are cultivating with a lower cost of production because of the nutrients deposit in the rainy season when the places are fallowed. The soils here are fallowed for more than 9 months of the year, which is the land is underwater during the rainy season. In the dry season, when it dries off, farmers come and plant. With the other advantage of that also is that they start with enough moisture in the soil so that they wouldn't have to irrigate early in the plant life. They also start with a fertile and rich soil. They would have the added advantage of using less fertilizers and cost of production. Their yields are also greater in areas like these because of the fact that if you compare it to the other areas, for example, watermelon, you could harvest up to 30 to 40,000 pounds of watermelon from 1 acre of land during the dry season in areas like these, in comparison to other areas where you get 10 and 15,000 pounds per acre.
The buildup of pests are broken. The soils are allowed time to rejuvenate until the next cropping cycle. During this period, an alternative crop may be established under a protected structure in more elevated terrain. The traditional role of the sector is changing, and a new agriculture is being embraced. That is, one that spans the entire value, food and non-food chain, develops direct and indirect linkages with the other productive sectors and is market-oriented, requires significant human capital that is technologically trained, is influenced by appropriate technological processes and measures. Protected agriculture is an emerging industry within the new agriculture that can assist with the attainment of food and nutrition security for the region. Agriculture is much more than farming and food. It is heavily influenced and driven by people, their culture, taste, and trends. We must all recognize the importance of securing the nation's food supply. The adoption of protected agriculture in the region could be the vehicle to assist in achieving the goal of food and nutrition security.